Good evening, everyone. This is Joe Baker from bakerproductions.net, and in tonight's tutorial, I'm going to be discussing 3 different techniques for applying slow motion effects to your footage. Now, in the spirit of the Summer Olympics that are going on right now, we decided to use some footage that was filmed in a swimming pool. So my lovely friends Eileen, Evelyn, and Christian, who's not hard on the eyes either, was kind enough to help me out in demonstrating some of their swimming skills. And we thought it would be cool to merge the Olympics with Jackass. It'll grow back. Okay, let me go ahead and show you some examples of what we are trying to achieve. Now, before I get going, if you know beforehand that you're going to be applying a slow motion effect to your footage, you're going to want to shoot at the highest frame rate that your camera will allow for. Now, we shot this with the GoPro Hero 2, which will record at 60 frames per second at a resolution of 720p. Not super fast, but it is better than the standard 30 frames per second or 24 frames per second if you're going for that film look. Now, if we look at this clip of Evelyn swimming underwater right here, I can advance through this clip frame by frame by clicking this button right here underneath the player. And every time I push this button, you'll see that the movie advances forward 1 frame. Okay, the problem with slowing down footage is your editing program is going to have to take each one of those frames and duplicate them. And the more we ask your editing program to slow the footage down, the more duplicates it's going to have to make. So I'm going to go ahead and slow down this footage by mousing over the right side of my clip, holding down the control key so that I get that little squiggly line, and then just dragging it out. Now, I'm at 25% playback here. So now what happens if I zoom in on my footage right here, each one of these triangles underneath my video right here represents a new frame. Now, duplicates have been made to allow this to occupy more space on the timeline, resulting in a slower playback. Now, if we had filmed this with a camera that could record at, say, 2500 or 3000 frames per second, this is really all you would have to do to the clip, and it would look beautifully smooth and, that extreme slow motion look that we're all going for. The hang up to this strategy is that the value that you have applied, in our case 25% down here, is applied to the entire clip, meaning it's not keyframeable. The entire clip is going to play at 25%. So if you're looking for that look that the movie 300 made so popular, where we can go from playing in real time to all of a sudden slowing things down, to speeding things up, and then back to slow motion, you're going to want to apply a technique called time remapping. Time remapping will employ the exact same techniques that we used before, but those values are keyframeable. So what I'm going to do is zoom in on this clip right here of my friend Christian diving into the water. He comes in, kind of goes over the camera, and it might be kind of cool to have him come into the pool in real time and then slow down right here as he starts to arch his back. So, and we can interpolate between those 2 keyframes right here. So let me go ahead and show you how to do this in Vegas. Pretty easy to do. We're just going to right click on the event, go up here to Insert and Remove Envelope, Velocity. And we can now see that this green line that we have in the middle of our clip right here, this is how we're going to adjust our time values. If I drop this, we can go down to -100, in which case the clip will play in reverse, or we can speed it all the way up to 300%. So I'm going to set the value to 100%. Just right click on this, set to 100. And right about here, actually let's get some of those bubbles out of his face, I'll double click on this envelope right here and create a keyframe. So from this point at the beginning of the clip all the way to the first keyframe, we're going to play at 100%. But if I go through to about right here, create another keyframe, and then drop this down to, let's say, 30%, what will happen when we play it back is he'll come in real time, and right here there'll be a gradual progression from going from real time to a playback of 30%. So let's see how that looks. We can also, once he gets a little bit closer to the camera, create another couple of keyframes and set this one's value back to 100%. So now what will happen when we play this back, he'll slow down, and then it'll go back to real time towards the end of the event. As mentioned before, achieving super smooth slow motion really is a matter of shooting with a camera that can shoot at extremely high frame rates. Unfortunately, cameras that can shoot at thousands of frames per second cost tens of thousands of dollars. So out of my reach, probably out of your reach too. And if I scroll through this clip, as you can see, it's really jumpy going from one frame to the next. Okay, and in the example that I showed you, I was able to get relatively smooth results using a third-party plugin by Revision called Twixtor. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how that plugin works. I'm going to go up to my video effects, scroll down here to Twixtor, and just drop that on my clip. Now we've got a whole mess of parameters right here. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail on Twixtor because an entire series of tutorials could be made on this plugin alone. Just for the purpose of showing you how we, what we did to this footage, I'm simply going to go to the speed, highlight this right here, and drop that down to 3%. Now, these values are all keyframeable. If I click on the stopwatch right here, I can animate it and apply time remapping just like I did earlier with the velocity envelope. But for our purposes, I'm just going to allow this to apply to the entire clip. Now, Twixtor slowed this down tremendously, so what I'm going to have to do is get this clip to occupy more space on the timeline. So what I'll do is come over here, grab the end of it, and we're just going to drag it out. And what will happen here, let's see, she gets to about right here. We have to drag it out even further because we slowed this down quite a bit. A little bit further. Okay, Twixtor will allow you to slow your footage down and really, with pretty convincing results, make it look like you filmed this with a really high-speed camera. Now this looks pretty laggy right now, which is really because of the screen capture software that I'm using and the fact that I haven't rendered this out yet. So in Vegas, what I would recommend doing, once you've applied Twixtor to your clip, go ahead and create a loop region, come up here to Tools, Render to New Track, and what that'll do is it'll render a copy of this clip and just put it on the timeline for you. Okay, I hope this tutorial has given you a jumping off point for applying slow motion effects to your footage, and I should note that although I am in Vegas Pro version 11, these same techniques and concepts really do translate to other editing applications as well, along with compositing programs like After Effects and Apple's Motion. So for more information, more tutorials, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time.